The problems down on the farm have focused a great deal of attention on the farmer. But when there is trouble on the farm, the burden is shared by the entire family, especially the wife. Margaret Schofield has this profile of an area farmer's wife who has a unique perspective of life on the farm.
Marguerite Booth and her husband have shared farming chores since 1951. She understands all too well the hardships farmers face, both in the field and in the eyes of the public.
Everybody thinks of farmers as, oh, that little man down yonder on that few acres of ground. But he is actually helping feed America and the world. Right now, every farmer feeds 79 people.
Marguerite says the farmer is a victim of things he can't control, things like high interest rates and bad weather. And she says elected officials are not coming to grips with the problem.
They speak on TV and review in newspapers and everything. They tell us everything that's attractive, that the economy is healthy and all, and it is. And we too, as Americans and farmers, are delighted over that. But at the same time, they're not looking at the distressed agriculture. And the agriculture in itself is one of the most distressed industries that we have, and yet they are the most important.
Marguerite and her husband are retired now. The only active farming they do is with these cows. But if the agricultural picture doesn't brighten, that source of income could be threatened. In Darlington County, Margaret Schofield, Action News 15.
The auctioneer's voice will be heard loud and clear this weekend in Horry County. Several farms and pieces of land are at stake. Too much work, too little profit. Those are the reasons for the sales. Horry County reporter Gary Weiss talked with a farmer whose land is on the auction block. Gary?
Jan, the owner is describing it as good tobacco land. Anderson Hammond has been farming most of his life, but it was 3 years ago he noticed the tobacco no longer had a golden touch. There's nothing wrong with the corn and beans grown on Anderson Hammond's farm. Actually, he shows a profit there, but it's a few miles away where there's 40 acres that he no longer wants.
Good black sandy land, and it'll really make most anything in, though. Nothing wrong with the land. I just gonna get out of it.
And he will, hopefully with $27,000 in his pocket. His farm will be auctioned off this Saturday afternoon. At that time, 30 years of working and cultivating his land will come to an end. Hammond has seen the days of good tobacco farming go by. Now it's time to hand it off to someone else.
You can't get anything out of your crop. It's just like $2 corn, $5 beans, they just won't pay off.
There will be farming at least for a few more years in Hammond's other fields. The corn and beans will hopefully keep him going, something that tobacco could not.
I don't know who to blame it for. I know it's rough.
The auction has been gradually coming for Hammond. He got out of the tobacco growing industry last year and started to rent his land. Now it's time for him to sell. In Myrtle Beach, Gary Weiss, Action News 15.
Think about it, but the American farmer touches your life 3 times a day. Unfortunately, farmers are not getting the message. Consumer reporter Michael Roush has more.
I'm sorry, how much is the total?
$136.95.
You've got to be kidding.
Right.
Whenever you go food shopping these days, money somehow manages to disappear pretty quickly. You begin to think that somebody is really getting rich. It must be the farmer. Well, you may be surprised. Agriculture counts for 20% of all goods and services in the country, and for each dollar spent, farmers receive only 27 cents. More money actually goes to labor than to the farmer. U.S. farm output has grown 60% since 1950, and one farmer feeds 79 people each day, year after year. Consumers spend 15.5% of their income on food, and most agree farmers are not getting what they deserve.
It was the middleman. Maybe I'm stepping on wrong people's toes, but I've always heard that the farmer. And I really believe it because they're the ones that till the soil. The little bit I do, I just feel like sometimes, I grumble on one side that the prices are too high, but yet if I had to do it, I'd want a lot more if I had to grow them.
So what consumers have to realize is that food prices are not that high in relationship to what the farmers are actually making. It's the farmer that's getting ripped off. In Mullins, consumer reporter Michael Roush, Action News 15.
Time to check weather conditions. Now, it was a chilly day on the farm. Steve Capps will tell us all about it.
And talk a little bit about how the weather affects the farmer as well. And right now, let's go to those current conditions and see what we have outside. 44 degrees right now in Florence, 40 in Myrtle Beach. High today in Florence got up to 56 with the overnight low at 45. Present relative humidity right there at the 50% range. Inland and about 89% at Myrtle Beach. Barometer 30.24 inches and rising. Winds are out of the northeast inland at 9, gusting to 16 miles per hour. And out of the north at about 12 miles per hour along the coast. About 4/100ths of an inch of rainfall in Florence, 19/100ths, almost 2/10ths of an inch at Myrtle Beach reported in the last 24 hours. Let's take a look at the pollution index. We've gone up just a little bit to a 44, but still well in the good range. Let's take a look at our color weather radar, which is not working, so we'll go straight on to the statewide temperatures, but there's very little shower activity, some scattered light showers, especially in the eastern Midlands right now. There's temperatures around the state. Myrtle Beach, since that map has been prepared, has fallen from 44 to 40 degrees. And, of course, you got some chilly spots there around Cheraw and Bennettsville at 43. Satellite picture showing the cloud cover covering almost all of the state that was clear about this time yesterday. There were clouds over here and none here, and now it's about the reverse. We weren't expecting this to happen, needless to say. Let's take a look at the current map and see what we've got right now. We've got this frontal system trying to move on off the coast. It's slowed down a good bit. We expect it to be way on off the coast by now. This area of high pressure isn't building in quite as quickly as was expected either, and it's already bringing in some northeasterly winds. Those will become more northerly, bring down some colder air. As we go into tomorrow, let's bring up that map. You'll see that frontal system getting on out of the way. Now, we're looking for more sunshine tomorrow, but a frontal system coming through, we'll be seeing some clouds as early as tomorrow night as we take a look 48 hours in advance into Saturday. If we could go to that right now, you'll see that we will have that almost right on top of us, and it's going to be a pretty bad one because we've got even potential of some ice up in North Carolina and Virginia from possibly some frozen precipitation. Hopefully none of that will get into South Carolina. I'll be back with the rest of your forecast after this word from Security Federal.